Here's a crazy idea. What would happen if everyone sold the ETF, Bitcoin and Ethereum? Everybody got negative, and for the month of August, ETH went to 4,000. Could that happen? Well, you need to stay tuned to find out, because we got some signals on some charts that could maybe lead us to believe it's not as bad as everybody thinks it is, or it gets good before it gets not good. How good? I don't know. How about ETH 4,000? You don't think that can happen? It has happened in the past when you have these giant short squeezes, right? You had a giant short squeeze in equities just over the past 3 months. Could they do it again? Why would they do it again? Well, let's talk about history. Did you know a year ago, the market totally collapsed? Like ETH went from 3,500 to 2,500 in like 10 days on something called the yen carry trade. Do you know what the yen carry trade is? No, I do, but you don't. You know why? Because it didn't matter. I mean, it mattered a year ago, but it doesn't matter now. That's why you don't know about it. Now, there's always a reason to be negative, really. Like, crypto doesn't need a reason to be negative. Everybody goes, well, the little people are too bullish, and I'm a grumpy hedge fund, so it's going to go down. And I still think there are challenges in September. But what if it was rosy first before it got a little sour? Like, is there a bullish case? Like, Solana's green this morning. Litecoin did outperform, although I'm not crazy about the market when Litecoin outperforms. But that is on ETF news. Speaking of ETFs, why is everybody headed for the door in the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs? Boy, we got some big chickens over there in equities. Goodness gracious. Now, on that note, Toby Ward and me, who are coming up immediately after this in the YouTube member area, she has discussed 116, and that's a very interesting level to see if Bitcoin can climb back into there. Hey, there was a high volume zone between 116 and 123. It seems to be doing okay, but I would like to see Bitcoin have some punch. Now, if it did have some punch, what would happen? Well, what about a new high? In other words, in order to have a top, in order to have a decline, you need to have a top. It sounds crazy, but I'm looking at the charts and I'm going, I wonder if that's what has to happen. Now, there is a scenario for September you do need to be aware of. There could be a geopolitical event at the end of August. There was somebody who was going to prosecute a certain Middle Eastern leader for corruption. They got fired the other day. There's a treaty that expires at the end of August. This particular nation could be green-lighted for another round overseas. So perhaps, if you think about it, it could be a ramp, particularly if they take out resistance, right? If Nasdaq kind of melts up, that sets up perhaps a scenario for a surprise. In other words, let's be bullish today. Yesterday we talked about September, and then I woke up this morning and I'm like, that's wah. That's later September. What are we going to talk about on August 5th? Well, one of the things we can talk about on August 5th, which we talked about yesterday on the market update, is what can happen if people are not willing to pay higher prices. Most likely the market goes down. Something occurs that shakes the foundation of all the things we're believing. A Fed problem, a bank problem, a geopolitical event, a blah, 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 blah problem can surface in August. You want to stay tuned to the YouTube member area to hear more about it. Toby Ward does have healing powers as well. However, that is a separate path, but she can help you with that. They are bailing They are bailing, and they bailed out of XRP as well. Why? Okay, well, I know why, because the price went down. Price goes down, everyone freaks out. Now the Bitcoin hash rate is making a new high. So getting really bearish on Bitcoin, it feels stupid. There is a chance at the banana zone in August, but the higher it goes, the more skeptical you would be about what happens later. Now, yesterday on the market update, late night, we talked about buying strength or selling weakness might not pay this month. I'm going to stick with that for now. I'm going to stick with it and hold on to the idea that if the shorts get squeezed, it could be nasty. Could be. Generally speaking, I don't like it that Litecoin outperformed. Litecoin ran into its Lux Algo premium zone on kind of a blow off top and got rejected. Nasdaq has to make a decision as to what they want to do, right? Jim Cramer overnight was calling for Palantir stock to go to 200. Currently, it's at 160. Palantir is the big tech firm that does all the AI and surveillance and military stuff. So Jim Cramer is all bulled up equities, and that feels like cringe to me. You have to be very careful in stocks, because just because they went down and came back doesn't mean everything is rosy. In other words, I have a lot more confidence in the future of crypto than I do in the future of equities. In other words, if Bitcoin really does climb back above 116, there's an outside chance that Bitcoin is immune to what's going to happen in September. Matter of fact, the worst case scenario could be back where it was at 113. We actually do have that as a scenario in our Patreon Platinum research, where we plot out what can happen. We have a solar eclipse happening in September. You can read all about what that means. But as you can probably tell, it makes me not want to chase it when it's up. Okay, now, just because that's not what I want to do, we have to, as one trader used to say, want what the market wants. And if people want to pay higher prices after they just bailed out of the Bitcoin ETF, ruh-roh, that's a short squeeze. Now, one thing that just blows my mind is that, they're selling the Bitcoin ETF. They're selling, insiders are selling MicroStrategy, but they can't get back in tech stocks fast enough. The indignity of these things is painful. It makes me want to cheer for crypto to rip back up. All right, well, if there's a problem later, there's a problem later. I woke up this morning and I'm like, who wants to go for 3 days about the problem later? The problem now is everybody, not only are they getting bearish, but they are selling. They're like, MicroStrategy, I'm out. Bitcoin ETF, I'm out. Why? Right? I mean, don't they know that Bitcoin is the future? I read something about Bitcoin and AI from this guy I used to work with, who's just like, the guy's mind-boggling when it comes to thought leadership. He says that AI and crypto together are so disruptive of capitalism that it's one of the reasons why governments and big banks are getting kind of on board with them, or AI and crypto combined could actually destroy them. Because after all, Bitcoin was the cyberpunk revolution designed to get away from sovereigns and banks. So get with the program in crypto or get wiped out. Seriously, like AI agents acting on their own, creating more AI agents. And how far away is that? 6 months, 9 months, sooner? And the disruptive components of crypto. In other words, once Bitcoin starts making a new high, because the theme of the show is the banana zone. right? In other words, we can talk about August and we can talk about September. We can go wah, 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 wah. But what happens when Bitcoin really takes over? What happens when ETH really takes over and Uncle Sugar doesn't own it, right? Uncle Sugar is encouraging stable coins because that helps the banks. But what happens in a world where Bitcoin is money, because that's what Bitcoin really does disrupt. It disrupts money. And if you think about it, it's a little bit difficult to get negative. It is. Even with, some stuff happening in September. If you think about Bitcoin disrupting money, if you think about ETH disrupting finance, if you think about XRP and payment transfers, if you think about DPIN running on Solana, some Swiss bank is now holding custody for SUI. Hello. If you think about the decentralized world of crypto and the whole word disruption, can crypto disrupt legacy? Can crypto and AI together, as this guy Jordy Visser said, can it disrupt? Yeah, it can. And sort of the horse is out of the barn. So if you need a Bitcoin crypto pep talk, I'll give you one. Like, I used to work with this guy, and he's that smart. He is. And he was on this AI Bitcoin thing as a collective narrative way back when. Like he was 50% stocks, 30% Bitcoin, 20% other, which is eventually what the asset allocation is going to be. What will AI agents do with crypto? And what happens when we stop fighting about who should run the Fed? And we discover that Michael Saylor runs the Fed because Michael Saylor is the voice of Bitcoin. And to talk about living with indignity and pain with all of his executives selling the stock with reckless abandon. And then I saw him on Laura Shin's podcast, and she was giving him the business about it. And the guy's just looking down like, oh my God. Michael Saylor is the Fed chairman. Think about that for a second. Now, Bitcoin's got to get above 116, and there are technical and chart things that need to happen, and Nasdaq is a major problem going someplace to happen. But if you got the dip, if you got the nasty dip, that could be it. That could be the final dip before the banana zone. Now, if you want the timing on the banana zone, you're going to have to stick around for the YouTube member podcast where me and Toby are going to talk all things. She actually put together some analysis of her own, and I actually slipped that through the GAN model, and we have some really interesting conclusions about how the world could change. Now, some things could be scary. Something could be scary. Some things could be scary for banks. Notice how Jamie Dimon got on board with stable coins real quick, right? They're scared of crypto, and they should be, because crypto and AI were born out of capitalism, and they could collectively swallow capitalism. Seriously. Like, what happens, if AI disrupts the labor market? And you've heard about this, and you know what the job numbers say. Job numbers are all fake, frankly. If you have AI disrupting everything, then you got to own crypto. And you got to hold on to crypto, or at least the cryptos are good, if they shake the tree. And then there's this idea that Toby came up with 2 years ago about decoupling. In other words, maybe everyone's right. Maybe Nasdaq gets hammered and they buy Bitcoin instead. Like, this is something I haven't really talked about. Like, I got all in the GAN, I got all in the Eclipse, and I kind of got all in the, don't buy strength. That stuff all still applies. But I think that what you need to remember is when, if Bitcoin goes down, Or more importantly, if your bags either don't go up, go down, or just sit still, and you get frustrated, the morning monologue is don't get frustrated, right? If you know something could get hammered on the downside, if you know we're at the mercy of Nasdaq or we're at the mercy of a possible geopolitical event, okay. So now you know. Now it's a known. Now, what does a good analyst do? He or she eliminates the unknown unknowns, right? It's like the thing that comes out of nowhere. So if you get ready, right? You get ready now. What you're really getting ready for is psychological movement. You're like, hey, Bitcoin's above 116 and it's after, September. Uh-oh. It's banana zone, right? And what happens if they scare people before the banana zone starts? I continue to believe in order for the energy of the banana zone to happen, there has to be a catalyst. Does it have to be something negative? No, it doesn't. But whatever it is, it's got to make people go, oh my God, I'm done with this. It's got to get the normies hitting the green button. Now, whatever it is, again, we're going to talk about it in the YouTube member podcast. We're going to theorize about it because Toby came up with some really good stuff. And I ran it through the Gann model. And I was like, and frankly, I can't wait to ask her about it, right? Because, it's her unique style of analysis for crypto combined with, some Gann stuff to say, hey, is Jordy right? Are we going to disrupt capitalism to an uh-oh moment in the monetary world? Japan, Europe, the United States? Is somebody going to make a mistake? Is the orange man going to go too far with tariffs? And again, we've been talking about this, but what we haven't talked about is, okay, there's like the negative stuff, but then what happens when it goes banana zone? How does it go banana zone? Well, you can have fear before, or you can have Bitcoin and AI, like Pac-Man eating the system. They eat the system. How can you stop that? There's support and resistance. Oh, I sold the Bitcoin ETF. Okay, dummy. Right? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. These guys in equities, it's like, oh yeah, it goes down 3 days and I'm out? Come on, man. It's not just the future of money. I think it's just flat out money. It is money, right? The rest of the stuff is just paper. If Bitcoin really is money exclusively, that brings ETH and Solana with it. Now, on a footnote, I have been nominated for Best Little or Best Micro Channel. The Google Docs and the links to vote are down in the description below. Any help you could give me with this? I'm competing with a lot of people from Gen Z, a lot of people I respect getting their channels off the ground. So let's try for some love. If for no other reason, let's get that love for Toby and the Eagle King. Okay, let's welcome all the brave souls who are here. Bull Runner, good morning, Spartans. Spartans, there is a Patreon post. Please vote early and often. T-Bone, what's up? Holy schmoly, the Fuzz Crypto. Johnny Mai, a new member. Welcome. A new job today. Good luck, sir. We appreciate you tuning in. RNR, Yappy, Baby Well. Oh my God. Alexandra from Switzerland has found the new morning stream, and I know she's happy about it. 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Switzerland. What could be nicer? Zepeda's Crypto Path Art from the Amsterdam airport. Right on. Ronaldo, Crypto Crazy. Ron, a member for a long time. Live it. It's nice to see you too, sir. A1, Big Rich. Boom. Big Rich bought the dip, and I just sat here, and I'm like, okay. I posted the warning about September. You can have Rectember. But you know what? Big Rich is not trading September now. He's trading the dip in August. And I said to myself, why aren't I? I mean, there are things to think about September, but for August, maybe we think Bitcoin eats the world. Bitcoin has to get above 116, but I think Bitcoin eating the world or eating the monetary systems is something worth bringing up. And that's why Big Rich is buying a dip. So what's my problem? Just saying. What's my problem? Gee, what's up? Right? Crypto, where is he? Cryptid Parrot Dizzy. Jason Taylor, what's up? Yoppy voted. Hey, people, vote. Don't vote for me. Vote for Toby and the Eagle King. If I get the championship belt, they get to wear it. Okay, people. We are going to the YouTube member area in 15 minutes to hear Toby speak. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to do as much Q&A as we can. We will see you over there.